Good morning. Good morning, my beautiful friends. Happy awesome Saturday to you. This is the 9 a.m. edition of the Awesome Saturday service with Pepper and a little bit of Persephone back there. Oh,
Oh, wait.
oh you're cutting off her head. Don't cut off her head.
Bear with me, Persephone. I'm not used to this stuff.
There you go.
Floating baby.
It's the floaty baby. Oh my goodness. Persephone has finally made it to the wake-up call. Or the Awesome Saturday service, I should say. The 9 a.m. edition of the Awesome Saturday service. There's so much cool stuff that as I'm doing today. I'm like, I'd rather do the Awesome Saturday service at 9 a.m. And so since doing things that I want is awesome, I'm going to go right ahead and do that. So anyways, thank you guys so much for being here. Good morning, Shauna. Wonderful to see you today. And everybody else who is watching but has not yet left a comment. Thanks so much for attending this earlier version of the service. Today, we are talking about discontent. And I know that everybody that of my acquaintance and me as well, we all feel discontent sometimes. And so we a sense of not just external discontent but internal discontent, a sense that something isn't quite right in our lives, that something is not as we prefer it to be, that if only one thing would change, that we could finally be happy, or at least we would be comfortable, just to get rid of that internal discomfort. And so discontent is like an itch. And so we can scratch the itch either by finding joy and meaning in whatever it is that's causing us discontent, which is the reframing approach. We just reframe what it is that we reframe the way that we perceive whatever it is that's causing us discontent, or we make the change. We make a change to get ourselves into a new situation. And the fact is that if we do neither of these things, then we're gonna remain itchy. And I don't mean physically itchy, although it can sometimes feel that way, but like a spiritual itch, a sense that that something has got to give, and that we are uncomfortable the way that things are right now. And I refer to that as the itch of discontent. As and this one actually comes from a wonderful conversation that I had with Jan on this topic. So if you're watching, Jan, here's looking at you, kid. Anyway, so the first thing that happens is that we recognize that there's something that isn't right. We recognize that we're itchy. And if you've ever recognized, when with your physical body, you recognize that you're itchy, what's the first thing that you do? You reach out to scratch that itch. But until we recognize that there is an itch, we can't address the itch. And I don't know about you, but I have many times in my life experienced an itch in my body that I go to scratch where I think the itch is, and I feel like I'm just like moving around. I'm groping around trying to find the location of the itch. I'm like, I know it's there, but I haven't found it yet. And then I finally do find it, and it's just the most wonderful sense of relief.
Sometimes you just can't hit that spot.
Sometimes
a bit of effort and a bit of help.
Yeah. And that's very true, Pepper. Sometimes you can't hit that spot without a little bit of help, which is where other people come in handy. Also, those little sticks that get you on the back. Oh, man, those things are good. But anyways, the fact is that, discontent or the itchiness is a spiritual signal. It's not just a physical signal. It's a spiritual one. Our emotions, what we feel, are messengers to us. So if we feel restless or anxious or unfulfilled, it's not a random thing. It's a sign that something inside of us is asking for attention. Just like an itch is a sign that there is something inside of us, there's some part of our body that needs to get touched. That's why we have the itch. And so just in the same way that an itch signals our body to respond, dissatisfaction signals our soul that it's time to evolve. Now, most people just pretend that they're not itching. And the way that we pretend we're not itching, and it manifests in a lot of different ways. I mean, we stay in jobs or relationships or mindsets that don't serve us. We stay in jobs that we hate because we're afraid that if we go do something else that we'll fail at it, we'll lose the thing that we have and end up worse than before. Or we stay in relationships that aren't working out because we're afraid to hurt ourselves. We're afraid to hurt the other people. We're afraid that we won't be able to find something and that we'll go unloved. We stay in mindsets that don't serve us anymore because, well, they worked for us in the past. And what if the new mindset that I adopt and the new choices that I make because of the mindset that I adopt, what if this new mindset doesn't take me to the place that I want to go? What if it slows down my evolution? What if it makes me go backwards? And so a lot of people just like avoid the itch. And the fact is that each moment in our lives is a brushstroke on the canvas of our existence. And so when we feel the itch, it's a call. It's a call to change the color, to adjust the form, to refine the details, to just put the brush on the canvas and make some kind of emotion, even if it ends up being a happy little accident. And our role as conscious creators means that we don't just passively endure discomfort. We transform discomfort into something that is beautiful. So life is art, and that's one thing that we talk about here on the Awesome Saturday service. It's one thing that I talk about pretty regularly, even on the wake up call. Life is art, and so we have to, so when we are feeling an itch in our lives, in our souls, that is our cue that it is time to make new art. Now, oh yeah, that itch felt great. That's another thing that happens with itches. It's they always appear whenever I'm on camera, and it would be weird to scratch my face, but I'm gonna do it anyway because it's awesome Saturday.
And you're talking about scratching.
And I'm talking about scratching itches. So how do we scratch the itch? And there are only two ways to do it. We have to either transform our perspective, or we need to change our situation. And if you've ever been in a situation where you really couldn't scratch an itch, where you have an itch, but you really couldn't scratch it, you had to really just deal with the itch by transforming the perspective or scratch the itch. And so how do we transform our perspective? So sometimes the answer is not to escape the situation, it's to reframe the situation. We ask ourselves, why did I get in this situation in the first place? What meaning was it that brought me here? how can I infuse what I'm currently doing with a new meaning? If the meaning has fallen away, how can I revigorate that? How can I get new meaning? So, for example, somebody who is working a mundane job can find joy in focusing on the people that they help rather than the tasks that they perform. Somebody who is in a relationship that they're not finding any fulfillment in could reframe it by saying, "What is it that made me fall in love with this person in the first place? Like what, and what is it that we did in the beginning that we don't do now? And how can I bring more of that into where I'm at right now?" And so, when we reframe the current situation and we extract meaning from it, the itch subsides because that itchy feeling that we have inside of our souls for change has been satisfied. Of course, the other way to scratch an itch is just to make a change. So if reframing, which is, in my opinion, always the first thing to do is to reframe it. If we can't reframe it, okay, let's change it. Let's not jump right to changing it. Let's see if we can reframe it first. But if reframing it doesn't bring the peace, then we have to take action. So what new path is calling? So and also, and this is a big one for me, what am I avoiding out of fear? And the thing is that change requires courage. And so the longer that we wait, the more unbearable the itch becomes. If you've ever not scratched an itch, you know that the itch just demands more and more and more attention until it becomes the only thing that we can focus on. And so if we're focusing on the itch and we're not focusing on what's going on in our actual lives, we are definitely having a problem. So why do we remain itchy when we know that we have an itch? And the thing is that avoiding the truth doesn't change it. So one of the reasons that I've found in my own life for why I don't scratch my own itches in a timely manner is fear of facing myself. And as I've observed the way that the folks around me live, I found that this is a lot more common than you'd imagine. People are afraid to face ourselves. We're afraid to make changes because it forces us to ask difficult questions about us. In order to make a change, we have to ask ourselves, who am I, and what do I truly want, and what am I willing to risk in order to get what I truly want? And these are absolutely like big questions that is uncomfortable to answer, that we might not like the answer to. But avoiding it just keeps us in a cycle of low grade suffering. It's never bad enough to force immediate action. It's never good enough to bring true joy. Somebody who works that unfulfilling job will find a way to make it fulfilling enough so that they can continue to collect their paycheck. But it'll never be so fulfilling. It can't be so fulfilling to ever actually scratch the itch if they don't want to be doing it. And the other thing is, besides the fear of facing ourselves, is that there is this illusion of time. We believe that we have time to just figure it out later. Well, we'll just do it later. We'll be uncomfortable today, but tomorrow we'll be more comfortable. But every moment that we spend itchy is a moment that we've wasted in discomfort.
And tomorrow is never promised.
And tomorrow is never promised. And I know many people who thought they had plenty of tomorrows who did not. The fact of the matter is that time isn't going to lessen the itch. It's only going to make it more itchy. Only action is going to take the itch away, either action in our mindsets or action in our physical reality. And so we have a choice. Do we stay itchy or do we scratch the itch? And the thing is that the questions that we have to ask and that we have to answer don't change. The questions that we have in our lives that we need to answer in order to scratch the itch, those questions like, who am I and what do I truly want and what am I willing to risk? Those questions don't change. And so the only thing that changes is how long we suffer before we face those questions, before we make those decisions, before we change that job, before we change that relationship, before we change that situation, before we confront that person, before we do that thing that scares the crap out of us. The only thing that changes is how long we suffer before we do that thing that we knew that we should have done anyways a long time ago. And I don't know about you, but when I look back at my own life, there are lots and lots of times that I stayed in a situation way longer than I really ought to have because I was afraid to just have a frank conversation. And so that fear is a huge motivator. It's that fear of avoidance. But the thing is that because we can act as the moment that we recognize that we're itchy, we have a tremendous amount of power. Are we going to act now, or are we going to wait? And growth happens the moment that we choose to engage with our discomfort. Growth happens the moment that we choose to answer the question. Growth happens the moment that we choose to update our resume. It comes the moment that we choose to have a conversation with somebody about our relationship, and to be willing to risk the ending of that relationship in order to achieve the redefinition of that relationship. It opens us up to rejection. It opens us up to failure. But the fact of the matter is that the moment that we engage with that discomfort, we grow. And the thing is that scratching the itch, and be it through reframing in our minds or changing things, it's going to bring harmony to us. The reason that we are itchy is because we are out of harmony, because we grew and our life didn't grow. A situation that used to serve us doesn't serve us anymore. A way that we used to be that was working great isn't working out. A situation that we prayed for and wanted so badly that we're now in and don't like. And the reason that we don't like it is because we have grown and we continue to grow. But the goal here is not to never feel itchy, because if we never feel itchy, then we're not growing. The goal here is to respond swiftly when we do feel itchy. When we feel that itch in our soul for movement, for change, for transformation, respond quickly to it. Immediately look at our mindset. Immediately ask ourselves, what are the difficult conversations that I'm not having? What have I allowed to go on for so long that I'm now unhappy about it? And what can I do to make a change? And so, ultimately, we have to ask ourselves, where are we feeling itchy in our lives? What choices are we delaying? And when we can see these things, when we can experience these things, when we can actually look at them and write them down, and quantify the stuff that isn't right in our lives, then we can make an immediate and intentional action. And that requires courage. We have to decide, are we going to reframe it, or are we going to change it? And we can reframe it. And a lot of times we can reframe something that makes us feel itchy for a very long time, and eventually change becomes necessary. But reframing works, and reframing gives us time to grow even more. It gives us time to be more at peace with where we are, and to understand more about our direction. But the fact is that if we don't choose either one of these, then we are choosing to stay itchy. And ultimately, the remaining itchy is a choice. And so, today, let's choose awareness, and let's choose action, and let's choose joy. Let's choose alignment. Let's choose to scratch those itches. Let's choose to make those difficult choices. Let's choose to, believe in us, believe in who we are, believe that the wisdom and the knowledge that we have accumulated over the course of our lives is sufficient for us. That it is enough for us to make a good choice the next time. The situations that we're in right now are directly related to the choices that we've made in the past. And I don't know about you, but I grow every single day. Every day I have a new perspective. Every day I have, I have a new set of experiences to build upon. And so when I find that the quicker that we are growing spiritually, the more quickly that we are also developing those spiritual itches and making the relevant changes. So we can stay itchy, or we can scratch that itch. And then the only two ways to do it are to change our mind or to change the situation. So I want to say thank you guys so much for being here. It's going to be an amazing day. I'm just already super excited about all the fun stuff. Shauna, I'm looking forward to seeing you later on today. I'll send you a message after the call. Good morning, Lane. Wonderful to see you here today. Thanks so much. Thanks for coming out to the Awesome Saturday service, Pepper and Persephone. It has been lovely to share my family with the world today. I'll touch y'all on Monday at 9 a.m. We will come back with another wake up call with Maui Paul. But until then, Saturday is awesome. So let's spend it with awesome people. Let's do awesome things in awesome places. yeah, today is member appreciation party. So I sincerely hope everybody who is a member of the club comes on down and feels appreciated. It's going to be an absolutely epic day. So anyway, I'll talk to y'all on Monday at 9 a.m. We'll come back with another wake up call. Until then, I love you. I care about you. I appreciate you. I think that you're amazing. I'm excited to spend my Sabbath with you today. And I will talk to everybody later on in the week or just later on today. Until then, aloha from paradise and happy, awesome Saturday.